13 years of marriage, 13 years of memories, of shared dreams, of laughter, of pain, reduced to one anticlimactic, emotionless sentence. I want a divorce. Sarah's voice was calm, almost dull, as if she were discussing the weather or the grocery store. No rage, no grief, not a flicker of hesitation in her face, just this cold, factual sentence that pierced me like a knife. I remember sitting there, shocked, trying to comprehend what I'd just heard. Those years played back in my head like a movie on a loop. Our wedding day, the day Emily was born, the Sunday mornings we would sit quietly together, the hard times we endured together. Now it all seemed so far away, like bits of someone else's life. For months in the weeks leading up to that moment, I had felt that something wasn't quite right. Sarah had also sealed herself off, emotionally and physically. As this happened more and more, the less comfortable I was sharing with her, our conversation felt hollow, and she was out until the early hours of the morning with flimsy excuses. She carried her phone like it was a lifeline and treated it like it was spun glass, fancying my stomach to plummet. That familiar warm laugh took on a different quality, hollow when directed at me, real when she was talking to whoever it was on the other end of those late-night phone calls. I didn't want to believe it. The pandemic clung to me like a lifeboat in a typhoon, but on some level I did know that it was someone else. So when she eventually asked me for the divorce, I didn't fight back. There was no point. Her heart beat before her words ever gave permission. I signed the papers without objection, knowing our marriage had ended long ago. It was painful, really painful. But I thought at least I have Emily. I thought she was still mine. 2 weeks later, I entered a downtown Italian restaurant packed with patrons. It was our spot, mine and Sarah's. We toasted anniversaries there, whispered secrets in our favorite corner booth, and it's also where I once nervously slid an engagement ring across the table and asked her if she'd be mine forever. I had no intention of seeing her that night, but there she was, laughing at a table with a dude, someone I had never met face to face, but whose name I had seen and not replied to in one of the messages she had accidentally opened. David. She looked up and saw me. For just a split second, that smile she wore cut. David turned, looked perplexed, and then seemed to remember who I was. I walked on, each step sounding firm even as I raged inside. "I didn't think I'd see you here," I said coolly, "but I think now is a good time to tell you something good." I reached into my jacket pocket and drew out a white envelope, which I laid out in front of her. She hesitated, then waited a beat, then picked it up, shaking hands. She opened it, flipping her eyes across the pages within. It was like a fire raced across her face. Confusion, panic, then devastation. It was a DNA test. Conclusive. Emily, the daughter I had raised from an infant with all the love and pride I had in me, was not mine by blood. The results appeared to indicate one match: David. That table was a soundless roar. Sarah was white as a sheet. David's gaze darted between the paper and to Sarah, alarmed. I stood there, suddenly feeling empty. "I didn't tell you this to make you feel bad," I said gently. "I needed to know the truth. And now that I can, I'm going to do what's best for Emily." Sarah stammered, desperately trying to find her voice. David looked the way a person looks when they've just been sucker punched. I rose and walked out, leaving the envelope on the table. In the following days, I decided I was going to fight for custody. Not out of spite, not to revenge Sarah, but because in every way that mattered, I had been Emily's father. I had rocked her to sleep at night, washed and kissed all her skinned knees, stayed up late laboring through homework, cheered her on for accomplishments, comforted her when she cried. Parenthood was not defined by biology. Parenthood was defined by love. It has been a bitter courtroom battle. Sarah attempted to portray herself as a caring, devoted mother. Her lawyers focused on biology, but I had documented all of this. I had evidence that she had cheated, Evidence of the emotional neglect, evidence of how she had gradually broken both our hearts. But more importantly, I had one thing that no piece of paper could ever validate: Emily's steadfast love for me. She called me Daddy. She always had. She didn't have to feel otherwise, and I didn't want her to. When the judge issued the final ruling, it was like time had frozen. "Full custody is granted to the petitioner," he said, "in the best interest of the child." Sarah wept in the courtroom. As the reality set in, she broke down in tears. David sitting beside her, his expression flat, offering no comfort. My mom's pain did not provide me with any relief, only a sober, weighty understanding that in life there are repercussions. As I walked out of the courthouse, Emily's small hand in mine, she looked up at me and smiled. "Dad, can we get ice cream?" "Yes, of course, darling," I said, choking on tears. And that's when it felt like justice more than anything. Not the sort you would hear emitted from a courtroom, but a more visceral, personal one, a testament to the truth always surfacing and to love, love in its truest form, love not smoothed or boiled down or edited for consumption, showing up no matter what, especially when the world's on fire. We walked to the car, her little hand in mine swinging like nothing had happened. But everything had. The world I had known was shattered, rearranged, reconstructed into an unspeakable, ugly but fresh and genuine thing. I had lost a wife, lost the illusion of a perfect life, but I had found a more important thing: clarity and Emily. When I was tucking her in that night, she put her arms around my neck and whispered, "I'm glad I'm with you, Daddy." I kissed her forehead, my heart swelling and breaking. "Me too, baby girl, always." In the following weeks, Sarah got in touch. Her texts turned furious. I was ruining her life, turning Emily against her. Then it became apologetic, desperate. She said she wanted visiting, speaking, clarifying, but I didn't reply, not immediately. I needed time. We both did. Soon after the ruling, David vanished from her life. Maybe he simply couldn't handle the truth. Or maybe he had never meant to be anything but a transient distraction for Sarah. Either way, she was on her own with the wreckage of what she believed was control. But Emily flourished. The laugh returned. The eyes sparkled again. We created our own small rituals: pancakes on weekends, Friday movie nights, long walks in the park where she would spin fanciful tales. She knew how she would be healed, and I made it my job to guard that innocence, to retain whatever joy was possible. I would lie awake at night wondering how it had all gone so horribly wrong. I wasn't a great husband. Nobody is. But I loved Sarah. I trusted her. And at the end, she destroyed something sacred. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the silence, the cold, calculating distance, the way she walked out as though the years we'd shared were pages to tear out and throw away. But then life reminds you of what matters. On some nights when Emily was asleep, I would sit on the porch, the stars overhead a patchwork of the past. I'd ponder how easily we can be fooled, how tenuous trust is, and yet how beautiful love can be. Because no matter what that DNA told you, no matter what Sarah had done, I never stopped being Emily's father, not once, and I never would. Sarah got to spend time with Emily eventually, supervised at first, careful. Part of me wanted to believe people change, that perhaps she'd finally understood the hurt she'd inflicted, that she'd at least make an effort to apologize for Emily, if nothing else. But I held firm. Emily's heart wasn't a toy anymore. Not again. I don't look into a crystal ball to predict the future. I don't know if Sarah will ever fully understand what she lost, or if Emily will one day inquire about things I can't answer. But I will always be there to speak the truth to her, not because I want to poison her view of her mother, but because I want her to know that parenthood is about so much more than blood. It is a story of love, loyalty, and sacrifice. The whole story could someday be something she could read. Maybe as a teen, getting to grips with the messy lives and relationships of adults, or maybe as an adult herself, investigating love and betrayal. And if she says to him, "You didn't have to fight for me. Why did you?" I smile at her, take her hand the way I did that day outside the courthouse and say, "You already had been my dad, and you had already been my daughter. Nothing else mattered." And in that I found peace, not in bloody revenge or courtroom photograph victories, but in the penumbra of the moments in which love survived, when truth remained steadfast, and when a father and daughter walked forward as one, hand in hand.